Who is Angela Luna? What is Adiff? Find out by reading the articles, watching the videos, and answering the questions. What you're going to read is on the left and your questions are on the right. This sustainable fashion brand is empowering the refugee community by Emerald Pillot, April 27th, 2020. There's a video that you should click on and watch. Adiff founder Angela Luna wanted to address the Syrian refugee crisis using her creativity and design skills. That's how she came to launch her sustainable fashion brand, which aims to empower global refugees. Luna, a graduate of New York's Parsons School of Design, created Adiff to upcycle waste byproducts from the crisis, employ refugees, and make items with displaced people in mind. In 2017, Adiff unveiled its first collection, which it created with discarded UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, tents. These tents can only be lived in for anywhere between 5 and 7 years, but they last in landfills for up to 1,000 years, Luna told Into the Know. So I end up turning those into backpacks and crossbody bags, reflective jackets, reflective hats, that all are about visibility and being able to be seen and be safe. Adiff takes a comprehensive approach to the crisis. Not only does the company reuse rubbish from the humanitarian crisis, but it also employs resettled refugees in its manufacturing facilities in Greece. For every Adiff item purchased, another is donated to a displaced person as survival gear. This all-encompassing sustainability is part of the brand's ethos. Sustainability has always kind of been at the forefront of our brand since we launched, Luna said. I always try to think from the inception of when we design a garment, how can we be using waste materials or materials that are already out there, already, being used and then discarded? And how can we extend the life of those pieces and bring them back to the beginning of the cycle and basically give it a new life? One such piece is an Adiff bestseller. The Adiff Trench, made from recycled materials, is a lightweight jacket that looks trendy and fashionable. But with the insertion of a standardized tent poles in a base, it can convert into a tent. Refugees around the world often face homelessness, even after receiving asylum. So for a refugee, a coat turned into tent can be a new lifeline. Adiff hopes to bring greater awareness to the connection between climate change and refugees. As Luna notes, that climate change-related disasters have already begun to displace communities around the globe. There is this link between climate change and the refugees crisis that people haven't really been paying attention to, Luna told Into the Know. But it's really important as a designer within this space to acknowledge the connection between these two things and how creating anything that is in any way unsustainable is going to further increase the amount of people who are refugees. Remember to click the link to watch the video, and then your 5 questions for that section. Sustainable fashion refers to clothing that is designed, manufactured, distributed, and used in ways that are environmentally friendly. How does Adiff fit this definition? What does Adiff create? Name 2 ways that Adiff helps refugees. Besides the refugee crisis, what is the other crisis that Luna and Adiff want to make people aware of? In this video, Angela says she wants to use my skills in design to create change in the world. Do you think she is doing this? Why or why not? Second article, this is actually from the About page of the Adiff website. Adiff, making a difference through fashion. Adiff is a female-founded design label that empowers refugees and upcycles traditional waste materials to create clothing and accessories. We own our own manufacturing facility in Athens, Greece, where we employ resettled refugee tailors from Afghanistan to produce our collections. Our claim to fame is our jacket that can turn into a tent, aka the Trench and Bomber, one of our first solution-based items designed to provide assistance to homeless and refugee populations that were sold on a buy-one, give-one model. Our mission is to empower marginalized communities and fight climate change through the vehicle of fashion. Circularity and sustainability. We understand displacement and climate change as inherently linked crises in the world. Our products leverage waste as a resource, recycling materials that would normally be trashed and using them as the raw material to create new product. Our goal is to bring circularity to the forefront of the fashion industry, setting an example for upcycling and sustainability. Product line. Stylish and functional pieces designed for a life on the go. Accessories and outerwear meant for daily wear that you'll be proud to talk about. Minimalist, functional pieces made from recycled materials that are built to last. Impact. As a socially conscious brand, we're challenging systems within the fashion industry while also changing what society thinks fashion can accomplish. Our company is built on employing and empowering the displacement community globally, with a manufacturing facility that ethically employs resettled refugees in Athens, Greece. 3 questions. Number 1, name at least one way that Adiff is different from other fashion companies. Number 2, what does it mean that they use upcycling? Number 3, in a well-written sentence, summarize what this company does and why. 3rd article. Open source fashion cookbook is sharing recipes for upcycling at home with patterns by Rayburn, Chromat, and more. Christopher Rayburn shared his signature shark pattern for open source fashion cookbook, while Chromat's Becca McCarran Tran lent her signature bodysuit. An upcycled plastic hood and pockets in open source fashion cookbook. You can spend almost a decade writing about fashion, and your laptop will still autocorrect lookbook to cookbook. It's such a persistent, minor frustration that at first glance, Adiff's new book, Open Source Fashion Cookbook, looks like a typo. In fact, the cheeky name comes down to what's inside, not runway photos or behind-the-scenes images you might find in other designer tombs, but recipes for making your own clothes and accessories. The catch is that you can only use existing garments or materials as your ingredients. The DIY projects range from simple additions like a perspex pocket you can tack onto a jacket to more complicated complete garments, like a shirt dress made from 2 button-downs, a bucket hat that repurposes a broken umbrella, or a 53-step blanket coat. Several designers contributed patterns from their archives, including Christopher Rayburn, Assembly's Greg Arms, and Chromat's Becca McCarran Tran. Those familiar with Adiff, the 3-year-old New York label by Angela Luna and Luala Al-Sad, already know it's a brand dedicated to sustainability and social justice. Many of their clothes are made with upcycled fabric, and their hero piece is a slick parka that transforms into a tent, with the addition of a few poles. Launched in 2017, it's sold on a buy one, give one model, with every jacket purchased providing another to a displaced or homeless person. It's come to represent all of Adiff's tenets, that garments can be multifunctional, beyond simply clothing our bodies, that fashion should be useful and inventive, and that what we wear should relate to the world around us. In 2020, Adiff planned to roll out a few designer collaborations, but they were put on hold during the pandemic. Luna and Al-Sad spent the extra time sewing thousands of face masks for New York hospitals. They're now available on their site, also on a buy one, give one model, and taking part in the Black Lives Matter protests. That's where Luna found her inspiration for the cookbook. It was the end of June, and I'd spent all this time at the protests and was feeling really frustrated by the industry, she says. All of these things were happening in the world, but I didn't see them reflected by fashion at all. And that's the reason I started Adiff in the first place, to draw connections between global issues and fashion. She particularly felt turned off by the fact that even well-intentioned brands still ultimately ask us to buy something from them. How could Adiff help people engage in fashion and sustainability outside of the traditional system? I had this crazy idea to get a collective of designers together so we could work on actually making sustainability accessible and inclusive, Luna says. If you don't have a few $100s to spend on an outfit, you can still participate. Luna and Al-Sad worked with illustrators and designers to create the patterns for their new collection and reached out to designers to ask for their contributions, too. Rayburn's signature shark, a crossbody bag shaped like a great white, gives the book its serendipitous ending. All of the scraps you'd accumulate from other projects becoming the stuffing in the body. A few years ago, it'd be difficult to imagine designers sharing intellectual property so freely. Now it feels like the logical next step towards a more open, community-driven fashion industry. We got a glimpse of its potential earlier this summer when Jonathan Anderson shared the pattern for a patchwork cardigan Harry Styles wore, which sparked a DIY movement on TikTok. You never really own a design anyway. You have to let go of it, he said at the time. I think it's great people are finding joy in it. My dream would be for every designer to start releasing 1 or 2 patterns every time they show a new collection, Luna says. I think this is going to initiate a larger movement because it's really at the front of everyone's mind. And here's a pattern for the bucket hat. In addition to leading that movement, Luna hopes Open Source Fashion Cookbook will be a resource for consumers, fashion students, and designers looking to repurpose their archive or dead stock materials. It's being published as a paperback and ebook through Amazon for $60. and the first page includes a transparent breakdown of the cost. Amazon takes a 40% royalty, printing is $20 per book, and Adiff is sharing part of the profit with the designers who want their patterns. That means Adiff will make $10 per sale. For those who can't afford to buy the book, the patterns will also be available to download for free on their website. I would love to challenge people to think more critically about what they're buying and how they engage with items that are already in their closet, Luna adds. We just want to create less reliance on the industry. Maybe you have an old shirt you were planning to throw away and replace with a new one, but we want to show people that you can be self-sufficient. You don't necessarily need to rely on brands to create these things for you. My goal for this is to become like a Merriam-Webster dictionary on your bookshelf, a household book everyone can use. Open source fashion cookbook is available on Adiff.com and Amazon. Questions for that article? Why is the new book by Luna called a cookbook? How does purchasing an item from Adiff also help others? What has Adiff done differently during the pandemic than they originally planned? If someone wants to create the designs in this book, what are 2 places they could go to find them? And the final thing will be a video. Watch this interview with Angela Luna and answer the question, helping the refugee crisis through design. Angela Luna created a fashion collective intended to assist refugees, including a jacket that transforms into a tent. Her brand Adiff has a motto, Design Intervention for Global Issues. She was named to Forbes magazine's Top 30 Under 30 Art and Style in 2017. Once you click on the link and watch the video, here's 3 questions. Angela Luna started this idea in college when she was trying to figure out if clothing was able to respond to the refugee crisis. Do you think she has proven it can? Why or why not? Describe the refugee camps in Greece. When Angela has a down day, what inspired her to keep going?